All right, so this is an easy one. Let's consider the function x plus 4. Well, if I were to find the inverse of that, first step is I'm going to let y equal f of x, right? So this becomes y equals x plus 4. Then the next step would be we're going to swap x and y, right? Wherever there's an x, I'm going to put a y. Wherever there's a y, I'm going to put an x. So I say x equals y plus 4. Then the next step would be solve for y equals some stuff. We're going to solve for y. So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. And I get x minus 4 equals y. And then the last step is I'm gonna put in the function notation, right? So I could rewrite this as f inverse is equal to x minus 4. Now, there's an interesting thing about this is that I got to figure out how to graph it and then figure out how the inverse is. And one thing that you guys may or may not know or may not remember is that when I graph these two functions, they're going to be symmetrical about the y-axis. So, not the y-axis, the diagonal of y equals x. So, if I go to graph this, and I'll pull up my calculator just to show you this real quick. Actually, I think I'll just do it on this. So, if I go to Desmos, and I graph 3 of these equations, I'm going to get, so the first thing I'm going to do is y equals x plus 4, right? And then the next one is y equals x minus 4, right? And then I'm going to graph y equals x. Y equals x. Well, the red line is symmetrical about the green line with the blue line. In other words, if I take the green line and think of it as a mirror, the blue line is like a reflection of the red line. Does that make sense? So if I were to consider what the inverse is, then what I would need to do is I would just look at the 3 lines, and that's how I would determine what is the inverse. So the original function is the red line. So if I plug this in here, this is like f of x, and the one on the other side of this is like f inverse. That's important because that's going to be one of the questions from the mastery test, okay? So keep that in mind. They're always going to be symmetrical about this y-axis, or I mean not y-axis, this diagonal. So this one here is just y equals x. So anytime you graph the inverse function in a function, they're always going to be symmetrical about that diagonal line.